How do everybody? So it's just a quick update in regards to Dawn Queva, the woman who referred to the Holocaust as the Hollow Hawks, and called white people melanin recessive mutants. Very, very pleasant person, isn't she? Not. Well, anyway, I get straight to the point. She's been fired. So hallelujah! For once, the Beeb have actually done the right thing. But I can't help but feel that this is just the tip of the iceberg in regards to issues with racism there. And why did it take Dawn's comments being made into a national scandal in things like newspapers and on TV news in order for her to actually get the sack? It's quite strange, really, that has been required for that to happen. And I simply ask because these posts weren't all posted last Friday. You know, it's not just like they were posted that day on various platforms and it all got blown, all over. These were going on for quite a while. That and also the Mary Harper case as well, where she was helping multiple Somali criminals try and avoid deportation and stay in the country. And then there's also the multiple cases of the BBC posting "no whites allowed," basically job advertisements, and trying to make justification for that as well. Saying why it's a good thing. Whites need not apply, and we'll tell you why that's a good thing. You literally can't make it up, can you? And let's also not forget as well the unbelievable amount of blackwashing that does happen. Not only in various historical dramas, but also in educational shows, and this includes shows aimed at children like Horrible Histories. These shows are meant to be for educational purposes, and they just absolutely butcher what history actually would have looked like. Do I think this sacking is going to change anything at the BBC? Straight answer, no. Well, it might actually curb some of the more excessive impulses of the more full-blown racists who are working at the BBC, but they're still going to be working there at the end of the day, constantly chipping away, undermining culture, values and traditions of the United Kingdom. They're just going to be continuing to chip away at Britain itself and at British identity. And they're just going to be constantly trying to convince us that Britain has always been the united colours of Benetton, in effect. And they're going to be trying to say things like, that there was more than just one trumpeter in Henry VIII's court who was black. Like that was such an unusual thing that they actually felt that it needed commenting on at the time in history books. Like, wow, we have this guy who plays the trumpet in the court and he's black. Like, that's how big of a deal it was. But obviously the BBC will try and make out like 50% of the United Kingdom population has always been black. Never on anything else. Not like Pakistani, not Chinese, not Aztec or anything like that. No, they're always black as well. And that's some of that I think most people are noticing as well, including people from different minority ethnic groups as well. I think they're thinking a little bit, well, why are they always black? Why aren't we being included in this? If we're going to change history, why not include everybody? But this, in my opinion, is just a speed bump of the salami slicing process of Britain as the rot is through the entire institution itself. So simply sacking this person isn't going to change anything because, unfortunately, it's like a rotten apple. You might see a little bit of the rot on the outside, but it's only when you cut it open do you see that it's all the way through to the core itself. Now, this is also the same problem throughout most of our institutions. For example, we see it all the time. We see this all the time with our political class, playing kabuki theatre with migration. For those of you who don't know what kabuki theatre is, it's a Japanese style of theatre where they have a sort of like white paper sheet, and they put the little silhouettes behind the sheets with the light projected onto the back of it. It's like form of like kids entertainment, and that's what they in Japan they refer to a lot of political processes as kabuki theatre. And what I mean by that as well in regards to this country is, like your politicians in regards to say migration saying they're going to do X, Y, and Z to try and deal with these problems, but those problems never get fixed because it's not simply a case like we're seeing with the Rwanda. It's not simply a case of trying to move people to Rwanda. It's the entire system's broken, and there's too many people who work within that system who are completely corrupted against what we believe as the majority population should actually be happening. and I suppose this is the problem with it being a closed system as well, is that a lot of these people have become very institutionalized to a certain way of thinking and how they approach things. You see this in a legal system as well, you know, like this is why we have juries in the legal system, because very cleverly our forefathers did understand that actually people working within the judiciary, so judges and clerks and, you know, even lawyers and barristers, people like that, they can get a group think. So the whole point of bringing in a jury is to get people who aren't necessarily conditioned by constantly hearing the same arguments day in day out, so you do get fresh ideas and it stops that stagnation happening within the legal system. But because because things like migration and all these other things are separated from the general public, they have sort of got a closed-minded, institutionalized way of thinking, and it is a form of corruption in my opinion. But really, what we are currently living through is I think goes well beyond that, even though I do think that is partly true. And I think we're living through the full and final consequences really of Tony Blair's revolution that he did when he was in power, and it was a revolution what he did with all the quangos he brought in inventing the Supreme Court. You know, people think that's some sort of like really ancient system. It's not. It was Tony Blair introduced the Supreme Court, just totally changed our entire political system, and basically it was a full long march through the institutions, and I think we're now at the end destination of that, and this is why everything's falling apart, because we've got centuries and centuries of institutions where ever so slight incremental changes have just been done here, just ever so tweak it there, ever so tweak it there. You know, it's like a sound engineer working with the big sound spread board, and they're just doing little tweaks all the time. And what Tony Blair's done is he's basically just knocked everything up to 11. Get out of the way and just push everything up. You know, turn all these dials up to 11. Don't worry about it. Who cares? I know it's going to work because I've thought about it a lot at home. And that's basically what it is. You know, basically student politics has come to fruition, and the country is now breaking at the seams because of it. So, also, to add finally, I do believe another contributing factor is how many of these people as well are also university graduates. I don't think it's controversial to say that our education centres have become socialist indoctrination outfits, and they are teaching vast swathes of, especially our young people, but even people who are older now, you know, because it's something like 50% of people go to university at this point, but they are teaching them to hate themselves, hate the country, and hate everything that we stand for, whilst basically putting anything that's foreign on a pedestal, irrespective of the actual consequences or the negative aspects of those foreign things. The term that is most relevant to that as well, for anybody who's interested, is oikophobia. Although traditionally the word oikophobia is more to do with people who just hate their immediate home, I do believe that the term can actually be expanded and can be used by people like us to describe the sort of self-hating university graduate who would rather spit on the flag than fold it up and look after it. Well, not only are the universities teaching these people to hate everything about the country and themselves, but they're also piling debt onto them, which makes me even angrier in my opinion. But they're also getting degrees for jobs that don't really require degrees. Like with this Dawn Queva, I don't think she actually needed a degree for her job. And you see, like with a lot of these, like journalists as well. Once upon a time, journalists did an apprenticeship, and now they have to go to university. And same with a lot of people who work in like HR. I mean, HR departments. Even I'm old enough to remember when HR department was literally just timekeeping, wages and accounts, and in your holidays, and that was literally it. And it's turned into this big, massive, multifaceted industry where they basically control the entire business sector and try and emotionally browbeat everybody into compliance, and they're like commissariats really. And again, that's part of the problem. Where and this is where you don't need a lot of people really to influence the majority of society. Because you've got, I mean, how many university lecturers are there in the country? A couple of thousand. There's not going to be many, is there? But you've got 50% of the population going through university now. So a very, very small group, a very small clique of highly motivated, very highly politicised people, i.e. university lecturers and professors, especially those who aren't tenured, so they are terrified about losing their job. So they will just toe the majority line of the universities because they're terrified of getting sacked. And it's just radicalising vast swathes of our population. And politicians know this. Conservatives definitely know it, but they're just spineless to do anything about it. It's cowards, a lot of them. Anyway, I've rambled on a little bit too long there. I'm going to leave it at that. We're coming up to 10 minutes. It's really meant to be a really quick video, this, and it's almost 10 minutes now. But if you found that insightful or interesting, please like, subscribe, put a comment below. I love reading your comments, and I do try to get back to as many as I can. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, and goodbye.